Was it fair to suggest to people that somehow they're going to see some inflation reduction right now while they're hurting the most?
Well, that is actually not true. Thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, tax credits and rebates, that is real. Inflation Reduction Act credits and rebates available today include a 30% credit to cover the cost of installing rooftop solar.
Wow, that sounds like a good deal. I mean, I'm just going to throw some solar panels on my roof. Going green, baby. I'm sure it's good for the environment, good for Earth, good for humanity. Joining me now, host of the great President's Daily Brief podcast, my friend Bryan Dean Wright. Bryan, solar panels. Man, they seem so clean and nice and friendly to Mother Earth, or whatever these psychos are calling it now. Is that the case?
No, you don't want to grab one of those and twirl around in a green field, friend. They are not green, they are dirty green. So here's what we know about solar panels. One of the key pieces to making these things, if you dig deep inside one, is something called polysilicon, right? They require a tremendous amount of energy to create. And so that's why 75% of it comes from a coal-fired area of China. Right? So 75% of all the solar panels, in fact, more than that, frankly, that you see out there come from this area of China because they have a lot of coal and a lot of plants that fire the process to create this polysilicon. Another problem, this area of China in particular is called the Xinjiang area. And that's where the Chinese government has enslaved millions of people, actually over 1 million Uyghurs, to then work in textile mills and pick cotton and put together your solar panel. So not only that, but we know that the Chinese government are aware that a lot of people don't like the fact that they use slave labor and this coal fire energy. So they're shipping their final products to places like Cambodia and Thailand, slapping a new label on it, and then sending it to America and Europe big time. The Europeans, Germans in particular, the Netherlands, buying a massive amount of this coal-fired, slave-manufactured solar panels.
Okay, that all sounds absolutely horrible. Why don't more people know? I mean, I would think, look, even on the left and the right, I would think when you're talking about things like child slave labor, that would wake people up to what's going on. Why aren't people awake?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I'll tell you, Joe Biden and folks on the Capitol Hill know that this is true. And in fact, there was an investigation into this, specifically the cheating part of it coming from this slave labor region. And he stopped the investigation in June. And the reason why he did it is he said he wants a bridge from now until 2 years from now to flood this country with cheap Chinese manufactured solar panels, right? So they know where it's coming from. We could also talk about the minerals or the mining process that goes into other things, specifically batteries. We've got a child slave labor issue there too.
Bryan, okay, solar panels suck. That's fine. Well, what about these windmills, man? I drive around and I see all these gigantic wind fields and I think to myself, wow, that's so friendly to the earth. Is that the case?
It's not. So the issue here is the blades. These suckers are massive, right? And they become very, very old and brittle after a period of time. 10 to 15 years is when most folks take them down. Well, what do you do with them, right? Kind of like with solar panels, 10 to 15 years later, what do you do with them? Well, right now, you bury them, right? In terms of the blades, you cut them in about half, which is about 50, 75 yards long. That is about a football field or a half of one. And you have to put those somewhere. Well, it turns out that we're creating these massive dumps all around this country, from North Dakota, Texas, Iowa, Nevada. They're all becoming these massive dumping grounds. And if you see images of it, in fact, folks are seeing them now, it's incredible, the boneyards that we are creating. And these things don't dissolve over time. They will be there forever. These are legacies that people in those communities are going to have to deal with forever.
Don't miss Jesse Kelly Breaks History, Che Guevara, the latest episode of a new series available now exclusively for First TV supporters. Visit the First TV app or thefirsttv.com to subscribe and start watching today.